Coming to you live from the MacBook Pros, the Panda Bros.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of the Panda Bros. I am Stephanie and I am here with my best friend Chris.
Hello.
Who is also Kermit today.
Ah.
To give you a little background about us, we met 4 years ago at art school, and we both left.
Yeah.
We both left art school because we hated it.
What was it for you that made you leave?
What, for me?
Yeah, what was the final straw?
The final straw. When you know more than your teachers, I think that's definitely a problem. I think that was definitely
That's not really fair. You're just good.
Well, I feel there's good, and then I feel that it's like, even if you're good, you can still learn something from someone. When your teacher's literally like I'm in animation, and I had an amazing teacher named Philo. He worked at Disney for years. He worked on The Little Mermaid, and he also worked with Don Bluth on Secrets of Nim and Dragon's Lair, I think.
Yeah, he was also on Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, and he did like special effects for one of the Star Trek
There was a time
movies.
where you could not throw a stone in Hollywood without it landing on something Philo worked on.
Yeah, basically. And so he's like, it was awesome because going to school in Milwaukee, or like who the hell in animation is going to be in Milwaukee, but we had Philo, and he's this amazingly sweet man. He's like Winnie the Pooh meets just like a cuddly cat meets a batch of warm cookies. Like, he's just really pleasant. But the problem with Philo was that even though he had these years of experience, he was so like amazing. You could watch him draw for days, but like he wasn't very good at relaying the information. So half the time he'd be like, "Hey Philo, how do I do this run cycle?" And he'd be like, "Well, Stephanie, when back at Disney, we used to draw Cinderella's head like a pumpkin, and her hair was like a cinnamon bun. And see and he would like go into how to draw the Disney princesses every time, and it was really weird. Like, it was very odd because I was like, that has nothing to do with anything. But he was a sweet man. But it was very much that led me to be like, I think it's time for greener pastures. What was the final straw for you?
I think it was like, I can't remember the name of the class. Is like something like visual dynamics or
yeah, it might have been visual dynamics.
No. It was understanding the visual.
Understanding the visual.
Understanding the visual too. Most bullshit class. Actually, this was the first year they tried it. Was with our freshman class, and there was a petition going around from all the students just being like, get rid of this.
Yeah.
This is terrible.
Yeah, it was one of those classes. It was the kind of class that when you think of art school, it's the kind of class you would expect, where it's like just a bunch of kids sitting around being like, what is art? Art is me. Life. Art. Like, it was pretty much just like every week, like, we'd be forced to sit there for like 3 hours being like, talk to your partner about what art is to you. What is the definition of line? And after a while, you're like, okay.
I mean, I had some.
I just really want to know how to make a flip book. They're like, nope, line. And it's one of those things that I went to art school. I've been going to art school since my freshman year of high school. I went to a private art school. So I've been through the rigmarole. I know, fancy. But I've been through the grinder. I've been asked the question, what is art, way too many times for my own sanity. I'm like, I literally come in, I'm like, I just want to draw cartoons. I don't know. I mean, it's valid. It's valid learning fine art.
It's a valid question. It's a valid question.
It.
But, like, for me, I had this class, and just one of the things we were watching, and I was an animation major myself. I ended up just leaving that because animation's is too much for me. It's a lot of fun, but it's so much work. So there's this. We're watching this video, and my teacher, she's also like, yeah. So today, I've read everything from all you guys about like what you want to see and what your majors are, and you want something to be more relevant to your major. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch some videos on stuff. And it was just this weird performance art piece of this woman drinking milk and had like food color, like in different color food coloring in each one. And then she'd puke it onto a canvas, and it was the most disgusting thing. And I'm like, oh no.
That sounds about right.
So I'm like, I made like the conscious decision there. I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be paying $30,000 a year for this.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things where I was like, if this is a metaphor for anything, it's like that spewed out milk is like my tuition money and or time.
If this is a metaphor for anything, I need better financial decisions in my life.
Yeah.
This
it didn't need to happen. That's a sad thing.
No, I will say this. Maya did provide me with like the coolest people I've ever met, and just some of the teachers I had were amazing. Did you ever have Mr. Boblick?
Yes. Oh my gosh. He was my figure drawing teacher, and he had like the most Midwestern accent ever. But like he was
the best. He was the best. This man had a story for everything. I was drawing once. I was doing a figure draw. Like it was all right, but it wasn't working out. So I just kept trying to add more lines, and it was making it worse. And I'm like, no. And he comes up behind me. He's like, I like what you're doing, but it seems to get lost. He then proceeded to tell me the best story I've ever heard in my life. He comes up to me. He's like, I had this crazy old lady, and she would follow me around wherever I went. It got really creepy. Like, she'd look in my windows, and she'd follow me to work. It was scary. So I took her to court. And the judge, God damn it, cat. my cat just like, you know what I need to do? Jump on your shoulders while you're telling a story. Aww. Anyway, so he's like, yeah, I took her to court, and the judge was like, he wasn't believing me, and he's not listening to anything I say, so he turns to her and goes, ma'am, why are we here? And she says, I stand outside Mr. Boblick's house all day, and he won't let me look inside. And with that one line, he turned to me and said, Mr. Boblick, you have your restraining order. That one line was more powerful than anything I could have said. Try to find that line in your drawing.
And that was the best part, because like even with a story like that, he kind of made a connection. You're like, oh, line, yeah. Like I've had stories where he would come up to me when drawing. It's like you wouldn't even know it, and just like it felt like someone was just coming playing like NPR while you were like working. He'd be like, I was building a birdhouse, and my cat came up behind me and flipped a penny over my shoe. Find that, and like you just leave, and you're like, and somehow with that word you just find it, you'd be like, yeah.
You come back, there's like a picture of a cat flipping a penny onto somebody's shoe. He's like, he was
like one of those just like geniuses in life that you just meet. You're like, you are so wise beyond your years. Like, he was amazing.
I think my one of my favorite classes was with I had it with you. It was with Amir.
Oh God, okay. I had the biggest
just watching you.
On my we were in, it was like an audio class for video majors, and he was, I called him my little Turkish delight. Oh, he is like this guy from Turkey, and he had a really strong accent, and he had a bad habit of like mispronouncing words. Not really mispronouncing, but just like kind of mixing them up. Like, oh, you silly foreign guy. Like, kind of just
like using a word out of context.
Yeah, like one time I think I was just like about to like drop trow at moment when he was just like, my friend My friend was working at a pizza place called Toppers that was really big in Wisconsin, and my my teacher Amir, my Turkish delight, was like, "It's like, yeah, I love the toppings. I love to go to the toppings all the time." And it's just like everything he would say. It was just like I don't know, like he called one of my other favorite lines was he's like, "I love to watch the Saturday Night Show," and it's like you know. In terms like SNL, of course, and then he would say like the mute, like mute. He'd be like,
Oh my god,
"Oh,
yeah.
for this audio, it sounds a little bit mute." And it was just like, "Marry me!" Like he was married to my video teacher, my intro to video teacher, and like she was like this really like she looked like she like makes birdhouses in her spare time and like knits tea cozies. She was so chill and so like like I was like, oh, I wouldn't really pin you to be the one to like making experimental videos and like banging the best Turkish sound teacher ever. Like I refused. Part of me like refused to believe it was like a legitimate marriage like that. Like I saw them walking around downtown Milwaukee one day in like January. This man, what makes it the best part is his wife was probably about like 5'9", 5'10". He was probably about like 5'6", and he's short. And to make it better, he's wearing this really like this like little crocheted knit poof ball winter hat with this big poof ball, and it had little hearts going around it. Like I couldn't make it up how much. Like I have a terrible like my taste in men is just really awful because I don't get like when people are like, oh, long, tall, and handsome, dark, tall, and handsome, yeah, Brad Pitt, you know, Ryan Gosling. I'm like, did you see how short that guy is? Like, I think it's a problem because, like, I'm the only one who's just like, oh my god, he's wearing a Boy Scout. Like, I'm having kind of a problem.
He's not wearing a Boy Scout uniform. He's just wearing a Boy Scout on his shoulders.
That would be amazing because he probably like went out and saved one. He was an amazing person. Like, and it was funny because like everyone in the class knew I had a crush on him, and so like whenever he mispronounced something, he'd be like, "I like to go to the movies to go see Brad Pitt." Like everyone would just turn and look at me and be like, "Oh, it's on." Like, I was just like, "You shouldn't."
Like with man. Because I would just seriously, I would spend that entire class just giggling and looking at you, like
no, that was the whole
because you just had like both your hands on your chin, just this man.
Oh my god! And I was dating someone at the time too. Like it's just terrible when I was just like, oh, I will drop you in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Actually, I don't. Actually, during the first half of the class, I actually don't think I was dating anybody. And then I dated somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, my dating life.
Actually, yeah. Then for my video teacher, he cool guy. We got along some weeks. Really nice guy. His name was Jamal, and we would have like these like just conversations about film and all that. And one week, like shit hit the fan. And I was like in no mood, and basically this one guy in the class had set me up in this terrible situation just to get me yelled at, and I was really pissed at him, and I wasn't having it that day. Turns out the night before, Jamal's house got robbed, so like neither one of us were in a good mood. And neither one of us was backing down. I swear we almost beat the crap out of each other. It's like...
Yeah, like, I remember. Wasn't even in that class. I heard about that.
Yeah, like, next time that we had that class, I was like, I felt awful and I brought donuts.
Because the donuts make everything better at the end of the day.
They really did. Like, Jamal and I, we hugged it out. We were like, yeah, I'm real sorry about that. I'm real sorry about that myself.
Yeah, well,
and it's just like, I felt even worse because, like, there was this one person in particular who was just, like, legitimately afraid I was gonna beat her. And I'm like, you have nothing to do with this. I wasn't even looking at you this entire time.
Just like, paranoid.
Oh man, it was quite the experience art school was.
Yeah, no, definitely. It was. I mean, I still go to art school now, but it's a different art school. Like, it's like I feel like I'm just never gonna get out. I'm like, I just really want to get my degree, but they're like, no, why don't you just stay here forever? But I mean, art school this time's better around. I'm going to a much bigger school, so it's humongous, and like it's compared to my ed, which was probably like 600, 700 people total. This is probably about like 1,000, 3,000. I don't know, something crazy number.
I'm not good at counting people.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I didn't go to school to learn math, except I have to learn math.
I actually went to a art school after my ed. It was actually UWM's Peck School of the Arts, which almost qualifies.
Yeah. Almost.
It was like, and going through a state school. Okay, first of all, UWM has their own officially sanctioned police force. Like, it's not like a security campus or anything. No, they can literally arrest you. They carry guns and shit. Like, okay. It was a high school take two, but it was like actually
but with guns.
Yeah. No, well, my high school had guns, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had
with
the
more guns.
We had the SRO.
Official guns.
Yeah, like we had the SRO, like who was like a cop from the Oak Creek Police Department who would actually just come in and just hey, I'm a cop. Try and fight. Like
well, that
awesome.
today.
But yeah, so I felt like I got more of a legitimate, actual, like traditional college experience there. Because there's this, like, right behind the Union, there's this big open space where people can just sit and stuff. And, like, around the same time every year, there's this group of Westboro-esque, like, Baptists who come in and preach. And, like, there's this minister, and he's yelling at everyone. And then, like, he had this guy with a guitar who came up and started singing, and, like, he was singing the most, like, bigot kind of song you could imagine, but it was, like, the catchiest tune. It's just like, it's not okay to be gay. It's not okay to be gay. Like, it was,
you should be like singing that song.
Damn it, I want to jam to your tunes, but your lyrics are terrible.
I can dance to it, God damn it.
But it was actually kind of awesome because during the sermon that he was giving, like these two girls started making out, and then these like big jock guys ran up. I'm like, oh dude, this guy's gonna get decked in the face. Nope. They reached in their pockets and like started whipping glitter at this guy.
That's amazing.
So that was like my first time at college, actual college.
Welcome to college. Here's some glitter. Jocks. Glitter Jocks is like gonna be the name of my new band.
What was that?
Jocks. Glitter Jocks sounds like the name of my new band.
Yeah,
Glitter Jocks.
Band.
Spelled with like 3 X's, but
Glitter
it's actually
Jocks.
not like a band. It's just like a DJ set the whole time, and it's just me. But I just feel the name to have like a band name. So that's what I do.
Background head bobbing like.
This is my producer. Just to have you back there.
Jesus.
Oh my.
So, what are you doing for work now?
I work at a costume shop in Chicago. It's awesome.
That's
Chicago Costume. I'm plugging in on my own podcast, I guess. I basically have been working there for over a year. I was gonna only work seasonal as like a little Halloween helper, and then they kept me on full time. And I basically just help people get costumes. I do like stage makeup, rentals, the whole 9 yards. And we actually had Jonathan Taves from the Blackhawks come in about like a week before Halloween. Like I came into work and my friend Vanessa's just like, "Oh my god, do you like the Blackhawks?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like I was like, what a silly question to ask someone from Chicago. And she's just like, he's downstairs and he's gonna come up, like, we need to get a picture with him. We need to get, but like, can you ask? Like, I'm really freaked out. And I was like, okay. He literally comes up the stairs, like I look at him, like it was one of those things where it's like, I love team pride and stuff, but like I would have no fucking clue what this guy looks like. Like they don't really have like any defining traits. I'm like, that's that guy. Like I was just like, it's just like another white dude. He's kind of like buff, kind of. And so he comes up the stairs, and I was just like, hey, can I have a picture? He's like, yeah. And like my friend was like freaking out, and like after that, like we had like a high the whole day. She's like, we met Jonathan James. We're like, we're gonna go get Buffalo Wild Wings because we met Jonathan James. I was just like, yep. That was, I don't know. It's an exciting job.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. For me, I work at, no, you know this, but I work at an Italian restaurant.
Tell me more.
An Italian restaurant in Oak Creek called La Sousa's. Located off of Fifth Avenue. If you're in the Oak Creek area,
mention this podcast and get 30% off your appetizers. Like,
don't tell them that; they'll believe it.
No, no free appetizers for any of you. We hate you. Don't go.
But yeah, so there was. God damn. Yeah, so we were actually coming up on a show, Restaurant Impossible. We're gonna be on that. It's airing December 4th at 9 p.m. Central. So definitely check that out on the Food Network.
Only on the Food Network.
Yeah. And it's so weird. Like you said, like when you meet famous people, Robert Irvine is like under 5'10".
That's pretty hard to believe.
The guy is like, you see him on TV and he looks like, oh, I'm gonna flip a truck. Like no, like, because he's got huge arms and all that. And then all of a sudden you see him in real life and he's like, yeah, he's toned, but he's also wearing a shirt that's 3 sizes too small. He's shopping in the boys section.
He's always like constantly crossing his arms, so it's like they're always like jacked up.
Yeah,
looking, like he's like a fucking genie.
Like up, like just like like they're looking up at him, so he's like, oh, I'm this colossal man, like.
Time to get some food made.
But yeah, I drew him a picture, and I will say this: like, it's funny you mentioned the Blackhawks because, like, it's no secret that Wisconsin and Illinois, their sports teams have always been like, we hate each other. Well, since we don't really have a hockey team, we have like the Milwaukee Admirals, but they're not NHL, so like. That's just the hockey team people care about around here. Like, hey, Blackhawks, okay, I guess that's what we're going with. Socially acceptable. I mean, I've seen... It's so weird if you know anything of, like, Wisconsin sports. People are assholes about their sports up here.
Yeah, try living in Milwaukee your first year, being a Bears fan, coming in during the Bears versus Packers game. Worst day of my life when we lost that, and I come back to the dorm next day, and there's a bunch of Green Bay Packer cupcakes waiting for me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know, welcome, yeah. And I had to wear, I lost a bet, so I had to wear, whose jersey was it?
Reggie White.
Reggie White. I had to wear Reggie White's jersey all day.
Actually, you lost that bet with me.
Yeah, I lost that bet with this guy. Yeah, he did not let me live it down. And then after that, I learned to never be a Bears fan in public.
Yeah, and then we have this other friend, Abe, super Bears fan. He was devastated at that loss, especially when a lineman makes a touchdown. But then, like, just the other week when the Packers lost to the Bears, he's like, yeah, suck it, Packers fans. I'm like, whoa, Abe, over half of our team is out. Your backup quarterback is better than your starting quarterback. And you lost. We even got rid of Aaron Rodgers. We fought you with both hands tied behind our back. And the game was still a one-possession game. How are you proud? How are you proud of
We
this
Bears
fact?
fans take what we can at this moment. I mean, we haven't seen a true glory day since, back in like the 80s, like the Super Bowl
1985.
shuffle. I mean, I swear to God, that's what we need. Like, we don't need we need to switch up some of our players, but I think we mostly need Super Bowl shuffle because like we were the only team with the audacity to be like, you know what, we're going to make a song about us winning before we even play the Super Bowl. And I mean, it was for charity, but I was like, who else has the balls to be like, yeah. And we were playing like saxophones and glasses. Like, that's what we need. That's like, this is why I'm not like a sports fan that much. Like, it's like, I'll watch stuff casually. And it's like, because I'm from Chicago, I feel the need to like support sports and be like, I like the Blackhawks, yeah. But like I said, if my friend didn't point out that there was like the captain of the Blackhawks down at work, I would have been like, hey, sir, looking nice.
Well,
I don't know.
You do watch the most important sport of all time, though. You know what
I watch pro
wrestling.
I watch wrestling, but it's fake. But that's why I like it, because people always constantly ask me, they're like, "Why do you like it? It's fake. It's fake. It's not real." And it's just one of those things where I was like, "But it's the only sport where it's just, like, it's so fucking entertaining, and it's so fucking like if football was the same way that pro wrestling was, like if they gave like at the end when they did like a touchdown, like football fans and like the authority now, they're like, you can't even celebrate at the end zone anymore. That's bullshit. I think there should be more celebration at the end zone. I think it should be like you touch down and then like the opposing quarterback is just crying and it's like, I slept with your girlfriend. She's mine now. And then it's like they go back and like every time, like they like do a fumble or something, they're like, fuck you. You were hitting on my sister. And then they beat each other up. Like, I feel like that would have kept me interested because that's why I don't like sports. It's like, it's just go and stop and go and then it's like rules. Yeah. And it's like, I don't like that. Like, I like pro wrestling because everyone's just like literally on Monday Night Raw the other night, there's some sentences that come out that are just so golden where it's like the guy, this big burly man, Randy Orton comes out and he's kind of like, just like, he looks like he should be like in an ad for underwear, like an underwear model all the time. He's like those perfect abs and it's just like buzz cut and he's just like gorgeous. And he comes out, he's like all serious. He's holding his championship belt and he just looks dead in the eye and there's a silence. Everybody's like, oh my God, what's Randy Orton going to say? What's Randy? And like, he just comes out and he's like, last week at Raw, I suffered one of the most humiliating moments in my entire career. As the Big Show choke slammed me through a table. And it just shows this clip over and over of this big, huge guy, the Big Show, just throwing Randy Orton through a table, and it's just collapsing like it's nothing. And it's just like, and he's just like, and it's like this whole thing. And it's like, that's what they say. Like, if they ever uttered the sentence, like, Reggie White choke slammed me through the end zone, well, I would watch it endlessly.
There was I grew up on like really like these old tapes my dad had of like old wrestling, so I was always interested in those guys. And I don't know why I never got into like the newer wrestling, but yeah, there was one newer wrestling thing I was into, and it was right after the Packers won the Super Bowl. Like for whatever reason, the Packers, like, individual players got more media attention than I've ever seen, like, from any other team that just wins a Super Bowl. Like, yeah, usually the quarterback or, like, the coach is on some talk show. No, Clay Matthews was on Ellen DeGeneres, so was Aaron Rodgers, but then,
someone came into work asking for a Clay Matthews wig for their kid.
That's pretty cool. But
that
yeah,
awesome.
there's a thing of Raw, and, like, it was like The Edge, and his ex-wife was the judge, and she wasn't counting, like, the pinfall that he was getting on whoever was, like, he was fighting, and so he slams her because spousal abuse, and then right. he's, like, trying to pin the guy, but there's nobody count it. So he starts, like, waving at, like, the locker room, and out runs Clay Matthews in this referee jersey and just counts him out.
And that's the best part. Like, the WWE, they're like, fuck it, we don't care the rules, because there'll be rules. They're like, oh, count to 3, you gotta be pinned, but you can kick out, whatever.
Yeah, it's RoboCop, Bob.
Yeah. That's like why it's the best. It's like when people are like, well, you shouldn't like it because it's fake and it's really bad acting. And I'm like, if it was good acting, I would not care. Like, I would. And how good can you get when your scenarios are like, you choke slammed me through a table? Like, I've never seen an episode of like Breaking Bad or like fucking.
That actually sounds like Thanksgiving at my place.
I know. Like, no, you've never seen like, or like, what's the fucking, Downton Abbey. Like, you're never gonna like see that caliber acting for wrestling because they don't go through that. Like, if someone was like just having like a traumatic like child loss, then yeah, maybe WWE would need a little bit better on the acting front. But I'm not complaining because honestly, the dramatics of it are why I like it so much. It's like a real person, like Street Fighter or like Soul Calibur. Like, it's like whenever you pick your character and they're about to fight, they say something really cheesy and really stupid and often mistranslated. It would be like, winning is the spirit of my wings. Then they go into a fight. Like, that's pretty much
fighting love.
Pretty much. Like, that's the WWE. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, it gets a lot of hate for the fact it's fake and phony. And I'm like, I think we should embrace that because that's the beautiful part. Like,
that's the best part. Like, there's a thing I saw, and I don't know why it hasn't made me want to watch this, but there's like a Sheamus, like huge Irish wrestling guy, and the Muppets hosted WWE a while back, and like everybody kept calling Sheamus Beaker because he's got the spiky orange hair and all that, and then Beaker and Sheamus were like talking in like the hallway leading up to the ring and all that, and he's just like, all right, tell Mom I won't be home for Thanksgiving this year. He's like, apparently he's actually related to Beaker now. Okay.
So they're amazing. Like, it's the best thing. And it's like, I only stumbled upon it because I was going to be at an artist alley table at Wizard World Chicago, and the big, like, they have a lot of guests there. They have, people from, like, they have people from Serenity and, like, all these other kind of, like, nerdy stuff. But then they'll, like, randomly have these, like, WWE superstars. And, like, that made no sense to me. Because it's, like, in between, like, oh, it's Alan Tudyk and, Stan Lee. And then there's, like, and then there's a Big Show and Triple H. Like, I was like, I don't get how, like, this mashes up. But, like, I decided to do research and do, like, artwork based on them. And that's how I started watching it. Because I was like, why isn't this my life? Like, it's kind of.
Oh, and I know who your new love is. Your little love of somebody who's completely straight edge.
Someone who's completely straight edge.
Yes.
I got really high, by the way. Yeah. CM Punk, who I found out. I'm so mad because CM Punk is, of course, from Chicago. I was actually alone in a room with him and like 20 other people back in high school, and I didn't even fucking realize it till a few weeks ago. My friend Chelsea, she got tickets for us to go see a taping of this local Chicago music show called JBTV, and Against Me was playing, and we got tickets to go see that. So we went to the taping, and we're literally like in a little room. It's just like me and 20 other people eating like fucking pop chips and like using lip balm because that's what they give you in the waiting room. And it was just like I was just like standing there, and it's just like I didn't realize that like 3-4 years later I'd become obsessed with this person. And I see like this picture of him and Colt Cabana, another local wrestler, and they like have their like little JBTV Against Me tags, and it's like those moments you're just like, ah. Because I'm pretty sure if I saw him, I was probably just like, look at that douche. Look at that douche little dude. No way I'll ever fancy him. But it's just one of my terrible moments.
That's terrible. But yeah, well, I think this has been a pretty productive first podcast. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think it's been pretty good. I mean,
we've loved, we've lost.
We've
grown a little.
We've grown a little. We talked about art school. That's very fun.
So, all right, everybody. I'm Chris. Check out my Tumblr at Buddy V.
All right, and I'm Stephanie. You can check out my art blog at Octorox Art Blog. Octorox spelled OCTOROXXX. Yeah, you're not going to remember that at all. But maybe we'll post links to that at the bottom or something. All right, well, have a good one. We'll talk to you later.